Hey, welcome everyone. Thanks for being here today. I have Doc Hunsley with me. Doc, welcome.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
You bet. So you've got quite an organization that you've developed. I know this was born out of your personal experience with your son, Mark, being born with Dravet Syndrome. Would you talk a little bit about that history, that impact on you as a parent, the struggle, and also the blessings you found having a special needs child, and then how that gave birth to your current organization and ministry?
Absolutely, happy to. So first, I'm the executive director and founder of SOAR Special Needs, and it's SOAR, SOAR. SOAR stands for Special Opportunities, Abilities, and Relationships. And we focus on the abilities of the individuals, not their disabilities. And right now, we answer the three main questions that every parent with a child with disability has. First question is, will my child ever be able to provide for themselves? Second question is, who's going to take care of my child once I'm gone? And then the third question is, who's going to take care of me? And we answer all three of those questions with our current and future programming. But it all comes back, like you said, from my past and my history. And SOAR was all started because of my son, Mark. Blessed, obviously, Doc is not my real name. My real name is Stephen, but everyone calls me Doc because I'm actually a pediatrician. Working in the emergency room, and kept getting sick for my patients, and spent 46 days in the intensive care unit. I should have died. 3 different times they told my wife to make plans because I wouldn't make it through the day, through the night. And God had his hand on me. Every doctor has told me I was the sickest patient they've ever had in their life. The top 4 diagnoses I had, each one by itself had a 0.01 survival rate. So when you put all 4 together, there's no way I should be alive. And so it was truly just a miracle that I was able to live and go through that. I was so sick, they forgot to give me nutrition. I lost 75 pounds of muscle mass. So I had to go through 9 months of rehab just to be able to walk again with that. Made it through rehab, made it back to work. And despite having my flu shot, I ended up with influenza. And that sent me back in the intensive care unit, where once again, I almost died. And it was at that point, nobody knows how or why, but I'm the only individual in the world that we know of. The main muscle that allows you to breathe is the diaphragm. And half of mine is paralyzed. Mine's paralyzed on the right side. So you have 3 lobes of lung on the right, 2 on the left because the heart sits there. So in essence, that means I really only have about 40% lung function.
Wow.
And thankfully, I had healthy lungs going into this. And so if I didn't, I would have died. I would not have been able to survive, moving through that. But because of that, I'm always short of breath. I have a hard time fighting any respiratory infection. And so had to be careful with all that.
Yeah.
But I'm blessed, married to my wonderful wife, Kay, just celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Have 3 amazing kids. And it's my second son, Mark. Actually, the day after he was born, I was not day after, but I was out on paternity leave when he was born. My first day back to work from paternity leave, I got a call from my boss and told to go downtown. And all of a sudden had a meeting with every single one of my bosses all the way up to the top, the entire HR department, a couple rows of attorneys and a whole row of doctors who, I had never met before, with one chair in front of the room. And they said, Dr. Hunsley, that's your seat. Have a chair and we'll start the meeting.
Wow.
I'm like, snap, I see the writing on the wall.
What's going on? Huh?
Exactly. And so they proceeded to tell me, Dr. Hunsley, you're a wonderful physician. We've enjoyed having you here. We had great plans. However, you've become a medical legal risk for us. And we're afraid you're going to get sick. You could die and your family could sue us. Therefore, effective immediately, your medical career is over. You are going out on long-term disability and you will never practice medicine again. You're hanging up your stethoscope.
That's quite a challenge.
Just like that, it was done. I couldn't practice medicine anymore. And, I thought it was just for there, but I quickly learned, no, that's for everything. I couldn't practice anywhere. I couldn't do anything.
What a shock.
It was a huge shock. So I took the hardest job I ever had in my life at the time, having 2 young boys, and I became Mr. Mom and taking care of my boys.
Yeah.
When Mark was 8 months old, he had his first seizure, and that seizure lasted over 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
And fast forward, when he was 18 months, got the diagnosis of Dravet Syndrome, which is a very rare genetic seizure disorder. And then by the time he was 2, we got the diagnosis of autism. And so all of a sudden, my wife's also a pediatrician. We both went from being physicians who took care of individuals and kids with special needs to all of a sudden becoming a parent. And it was the first time in our life we understood just how difficult it is to be a parent, and how challenging it is. The stress is 24/7, 365. You never get a break. We couldn't, ask the neighbor girl to be a babysitter for us because, our son was just too complicated. We're blessed that my in-laws lived in town, but Mark was even too complicated for them to feel comfortable taking care of them. They loved him to death, but they were just scared, which I fully understand and get. He scared us.
You bet.
So that's everyday life for families. At the same time, Tim, I can't tell you the number of times I would be out in public where I'd have complete strangers come up to me and tell me not that I'm just a bad parent, but I'm a horrible parent. Because they would see my son, and the face of a child with autism frequently is no different than a neurotypical child. You can't tell a difference. And so they see a child having an autistic meltdown. They think it's misbehavior. They think it's poor parenting on the parent's part. So they think it's their job to tell the parent they're doing a horrible job. Or I've had police come up, and because I'm actually doing the correct thing, they threaten to arrest me for neglect. For my child, but I'm actually doing what I have to do to help my child through autism. And it's just ignorance and not being educated. And that's everyday life for any family with a disability. You go out to restaurants and you get stared at. And so that's what these families deal with.
And so, Doc, so this is really what lies at the foundation of your starting SOAR.
It does.
This experience with Mark,
So,
the struggle, the challenge, the heartbreak. I know that you lost your son years
right.
ago.
So 9 years ago now, Mark was cured of everything when he was born into heaven. We had 5.5 years where we were blessed, got all the highs and lows of having a child with special needs, and then went through the grief of losing a child with special needs. But it was, during that time, and then, it was 6 weeks after that, my intestines exploded. I almost died again. I truly feel like a cat. I've had so many near-death experiences. But God just kind of walked us through all that. And then we ended up going to a new church. And the church we were at, I had talked to the children's pastor, told him, hey, you've got me. I want to volunteer. I'll do whatever I can. And they said, well, Doc, we kind of know your history. We've kind of watched you socially. We want to have a world-class children's ministry. But in order to do that, we've been praying to have a special needs ministry. Would you start that? And I said, I really don't know what I'm doing, but yeah, I'll try. And so that's how SOAR started. SOAR actually started September of 2011.
Okay.
And we started in a church with just 3 individuals. And over the next 8.5 years, we would do respite nights for families where on a Friday night, we would take the family, we take the individual with special needs, as well as their sibling, because siblings don't have a normal life, and we'd give them a night out. Families with special needs, divorce rate is estimated at 90%, 90.
That's
if you add medical problem like seizures, it jumps to 95%.
Wow.
And the big reasons, they have so much stress and they can never go out. They just can't get that break. So we would take that break for them. We give them the respite, and we call it sorely needed R&R because it sorely is needed. And it's completely free. We feed all participants. We average 160 individuals with special needs, 90 siblings, and 400 to 500 volunteers. We have a big theme and just have a blast. I feed every single participant, pizza bills like $2,600. It's hysterical watching Pizza Boy deliver, 300 plus pizzas on the out of the car. Yeah. But it's to celebrate these individuals with disabilities. We take all disabilities, all ages from birth. Our oldest is 71 years old. And then they have the fun night. We do a summer camp. We do a national conference as well. But God kind of grew that ministry with the church to the point that we got this huge vision of what we want to do with SOAR moving forward. And the church came to me this past year and said, we want to support SOAR And we think now's the time to help SOAR become its own nonprofit, an independent nonprofit. So December of 2019, SOAR became an independent nonprofit organization. And the church helped get us started with that. And like I said, now we empower families with disabilities so that they can soar in their local and faith communities. And we do all that we can to help them. But we've got a huge list of things that we want to do in the future. But it's all because of a little boy with red hair who was ornery as all get out, who I love deeply. But he gave me the passion to be able to help these families and these individuals and serve them and give them the break that they so desperately need.
Yeah, that's spectacular. I'll be posting your contact information, your website below this when I publish this. And I'd encourage everyone to go out and take a look. It's one of the best father-son pictures I've seen. It's really quite fantastic, spectacular. So, hey, so Doc, I'm curious. I know that you've done the respite. You've done this sort of embracing folks, allowing both families, parents and siblings to have some break. And done the summer camp. We've all been impacted. You and I spoke on the phone a couple of days ago about the challenges of COVID, how that's impacted everything, how that's really, particularly for organizations like yours, put a big kind of kink in the works. Would you share a little bit about not only the challenges that you found with that, but you also shared about some rather remarkable opportunities that you've discovered because of that?
Right. Yeah, happy to. So for the most part, a lot of families and a lot of individuals with disabilities, they're considered in the high risk category when it comes to COVID. I'm in the extreme high risk category. Absolutely. And then, we also work with a lot of medically fragile individuals. And because of my medical background and because of my wife, we have a lot of families that we work with who have a lot of medically fragile individuals who normally don't ever get the break. And so they come to us because they know I have a full medical team, I have a full behavior team on anything that we do. And so we're able to help them. So they're extremely, susceptible to COVID and our families just can't take the break. So many of them are stuck at home. When you stop and realize that, again, 90% of these families are single parents.
Wow.
That puts stress there. So on top of that, if they do have jobs, many of these parents have lost their jobs the past 3 months because of COVID.
Yes.
But not only that, all of a sudden they went from now they're primary caregiver, they're the school teacher, they're the principal, they're the cook, they're the janitor. They are doing everything and they have zero outlet. They have nobody who can come and help them. They may have had services where they've had nurses come in or other assistants to be able to come in, but because their child is high risk, they've had to cancel all that and do it all themselves. And so you've got these families who are just incredibly burdened and can't do anything. Not only that, now, many of them have issues coming up with their neurotypical siblings, issues going on, especially those that have middle school and high school kids.
Yes.
I've dealt with several families right now who those, especially after 3-4 weeks of being in confinement, they're missing their social groups and they just can't deal with it. Sure. And all of a sudden now I've got 5 families I have been working with who their teenagers have either now been talking suicide or have actually put plans together or tried to attempt it because they just can't deal with not having their peers.
Sure.
So now on top of dealing with a child with special needs, they're now dealing with all the mental health of their other kids trying to deal with COVID. For us as an organization, it's been brutal. We've had to shut down everything that we do. We can't do any of our in-person events. And so that's been real hard. And I shared with you, it's been a blessing for us because it's making us think outside of the box and do things differently than we've ever done before. And I honestly don't see us being able to probably do anything in person the rest of 2020. Just because it's going to be so hard. And I think some of our families feel fine now going back, but there's many who just don't. And bottom line is we want to be safe for our families. And the last thing we want to do is put anyone in jeopardy. And when it comes to disabilities and trying to be a buddy with someone, help someone pair them out and pair helping alongside them, there is no such thing as social distancing.
Sure.
And actually, I don't like the term social distancing.
Okay.
And the reason for that is we still need to be social.
Uh,
So I've been calling it physical distancing because that's
okay.
what it is. We
I
just
like
need that physical distance,
I
but
like
we
that.
still have to be social. And, you know, our friends with disabilities, they don't understand why can't I come hug you? I like to give hugs. Why can't I? And they just can't comprehend that.
Sure.
So it's really hard for them. But for us, we've had the blessings. You know, I joke, I'm actually busier now than I ever was before COVID hit. But we're doing many different things. I'm now hosting a national webinar called Talk with Doc, where every Friday, noon Central Time, for an hour, I've got a host on who a guest on who I'm talking with to help fill parents' tool belt with things that's going on, whether it be on how to parent, or like this week we're talking on social media safety, and there's just all kinds of different things we do, but it's to help parents fill that tool belt, so we can help them along with that and give them something else there. We host our summer camp. Usually that's in person. It's a huge event, 5 days, 8 hours a day. Well, we can't do that in person this year. So instead, we're doing it virtual. We're making it a 5-day camp, but it'll be 2.5 hours of video programming that's going to be interactive, like a Dora the Explorer type thing. Oh, hey, can you do this? And then we'll pause and let them do whatever. But then we'll have a 30-minute interactive Zoom session where individuals can be with other individuals their age, or if we have groups that want to come in, we can do it within their whole group. So organizations, churches, we can do it all together with them. We're calling it SOAR Party at Your House, because we're going to have a party, but it's going to be at your house. So we're having fun with that. But what's going to be so cool with that is now, instead of just being able to reach families in the greater Kansas City area, we're now able to be national and global with it. We're translating it all into Spanish. And so we're literally able to bring people from all over the world to be a part of it. So that's just a huge blessing with that.
It's fantastic.
We host our national conference called the Wonderfully Made Conference. It's a special needs conference. We have 2 tracks, one geared for families, one geared towards ministry. It's usually in person in October. I don't want any risk of having to cancel it. So we made the call earlier that we're making that be virtual. And that's going to be a virtual conference. We're going to have, about 60 speakers, 50, talks that we'll do. And then we'll have several subscription talks that you can have access to for a whole year. Again, it'll be able to be global. Not only that, it will all be translated into not only Spanish, but also Russian, because we've got 200 plus churches and organizations throughout Russia, Ukraine, and Siberia that is desperately wanting to know how to work with individuals with special needs. And so we're going to translate all that so we can help them.
So you truly have become an international force, an international organization for special needs families and children. We have. Spectacular.
And so we're trying to do all that and move forward. And then, because we can't do our respite nights, give our families that break right now in person, we're also trying to figure out how we can do some virtual things for them. And we know it's not going to be the same. It's not true respite. They're not going to go out. But we're going to try to do some events for the individuals, because they're missing their friends. They're missing doing anything. So we're going to do some virtual events that's age related. So like for teens and adults, we'll have like an hour or 2-hour Zoom session where we might do karaoke, or do dance party revolution, where they can music and dance and take their turn. For our school age elementary kids, we may do like scavenger hunt or bingo, things like that. And then for our preschoolers, we're going to be reading books to them. I've got a friend who loves to dress up in Cat in the Hat. And I think it's going to be awesome to have him sit there and have everyone on Zoom. And he's going to be Cat in the Hat, reading Cat in the Hat and books to the kids. And so just ways that we can help interact with the kids. And even though it's not going to be true respite like the parents are used to, it's going to give them, even if we can give them, 20 minutes, 30 minutes where they might be able to read a book or do something that makes a difference. And so we're just trying to help families survive during this time. We've been calling all our families, just checking in on them, see how they're doing. We're talking about, maybe do some drive-bys, do chalk drawings in their driveway, just let them know we care for them. But it's very tough right now. Everything we've done has been shut down. And so we're having to completely redesign our entire organization.
Sounds like you're on track to really putting together, even in the midst of this current situation, a pretty spectacular forward motion progress. So, hey, so Doc, I'm curious if folks, I know you've got hundreds of volunteers at this point. During this time of COVID, of shutdown, of being safe, how can folks get involved? Obviously, I know they can go to your website, they can donate financially. Right. I'm sure you'd be pleased with that. Are there other ways that folks can currently get involved?
Yes, there are. So first, obviously, is we'd love to have people partner with us in multiple different ways. And one obviously is financially. We'd love to have people partner financially. You can go to soarspecialneeds.org/donate. And again, that's SOAR for SOAR, and do that there. But we have other ways that you can also partner with us. For our camp, for instance, coming up, we've got a lot of needs that we're going to be having for that. One, every camper's going to get a t-shirt. Well, since we're not meeting in person, we're going to be having to ship t-shirts to them. Or if they're here local, we're thinking that we may deliver the t-shirts and then do chalk drawings on their driveway. So we're going to need volunteers who can help us pack the t-shirts and get them ready to ship, or deliver them here and maybe do chalk drawings. We're also looking, we're going to be doing a fundraiser in July where we're looking to do a Soaring with Talent, where we'll have individuals with disabilities as well as their families do a talent show that's virtual, and then people can donate towards that. But with all of that and everything we're doing, because it's all video now, we're looking for help with, being able to do videos, a lot of video editing. That's well out of my wheelhouse. I've been trying to learn, but it's not my gifting. So we're looking for people who can help us edit and do things like that. Translating, if people know Spanish, especially everything for camp, we're looking for people who can maybe translate for us and help us through that. So those are just a few of the things that we got. We'll have a few other things with our camp, but we'd love to have people reach out. My email is doc@soarspecialneeds.com. The email still is a .com. We're in the process of getting it switched to .org, but the email is doc@soarspecialneeds.com. All right, and would love to talk with you, let you know how you can get plugged in. And then I'd say the other big way that people could get involved is I would love to sit down and just share vision and what we want to do in the future. So if you know anyone, especially who I can share this vision that we have with, because we've got some big goals and big things that we want to do that no one in the world is doing. We're the only ones talking about it, and it makes big impact for families. But we need people to come on board with us and help our vision come to reality.
Fantastic. Well, Doc, it's quite the remarkable organization that you've built. I know your heart is 100%, 110% invested in this. Your passion comes through. So I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to share some of your vision and some of your outreach for this community with us today.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been my pleasure being with you, Tim.
Absolutely. Thanks.